Hiya, my name's Geoff. I'm going to quickly talk to you about how to use MIDI cables in conjunction with your SPD-SX and your various different Roland electric drum kits. I've just come back off of the Roland Hybrid Tour, which was basically a clinic tour, where I was playing on the TD-15 using the SPD-SX, playing a drum solo and demonstrating various different things about how I use the gear. Now in this video, I'm going to try and show you the same setup I had on that tour. I was asked a few times on that tour different questions, and since I've been back I've had a couple of emails asking me about my setup, and it's quite a simple one. It's just the TD-15 with the SPD-SX, and I've got a MIDI cable and a couple of other things connecting the two. So I'll quickly show you those on my set that I've got in this studio here, and hopefully by the end of the video you'll be able to make sense of it and go try it for yourself. So these are my two modules here. I've got my TD-12 module and I've got my Roland SPD-SX, and I'm going to unplug this so I can show you exactly what I'm doing here. So as standalone, they're fine, they work great. But what I wanted to do on the tour is I wanted to be able to link them together so that one of them became my kind of controller, and the other one became kind of the slave to that controller. So what I've used is a MIDI lead. Now a MIDI lead looks something like this, quite cheap, you can pick them up in most places, and what you will see is on the back of your module, and this will be the same for any Roland module, literally all of the higher end modules, in fact I'm pretty sure that all of the modules that have ever been done have got at least MIDI out on them. Now the high end modules have got MIDI in and out. Now at the moment we'll start off with just the out. So on this module here, I'm going to plug my MIDI lead into the out. Now if you've got a TD-15, then you've only got one, you've only got the out anyway. Now I've got another cable here which I'll quickly show you. So this is a stereo cable at this end that goes to two mono cables at this end. Now my purpose for using this is just so that the sound comes out of here into my SX, and I can plug my headphones into here and hear both of the modules at the same time. You can obviously use a mixer to get around that, or there's other ways of getting around it, but I found this the easiest. So I'm going to plug this into my headphones on my module, and I'm now going to move to my SX, and on the back of here you can see hopefully that we've got MIDI in and MIDI out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this into the MIDI in on the back of here, and I'm going to plug these two cables left and right into my audio in here. Now what I am going to do is here we've got a gain, so I can turn it to mic level, and you can hear that hiss there, how much coming through, but I don't want that. I want to turn it to line level so that I've got the correct amount coming through. Now it's quite quiet, but it's fairly quiet through the speakers in this room. So that's my two module setup. Now what I then need to do is sometimes you don't need to do anything. Sometimes you can just try this now. You can press up and down on here, so you see these numbers changing here. That's my kits changing, and hopefully you can see it's changing the kits on here. Now some people have plugged this in and it won't work. Now the reason for that is we've got something called transmit and receive, and transmit and receive is on both of these modules. So I want this one to make sure it's transmitting my MIDI data, I want to make sure this one's receiving my MIDI data. So each of the modules is going to have to either contact Roland direct or go through your manuals to figure this stuff out. It should be fairly easy for you to do though. But what you've got to do in this one is I press setup, and straight away I've got my MIDI. So I click MIDI, and then here I've got different options. I've got global or control or program. Well, with this particular module I press F4, which is program, and it comes up here. Now I don't know if you can even see that through the camera, but at the bottom here I've literally got receive on and transmit on, and I press those buttons to turn them off. So if I turn receive, doesn't matter at the moment. If I turn transmit off and then I go back to my kit and I try and press up and down, you'll notice this is changing, but this one's no longer changing. So I press setup, MIDI, program, and I turn transmit, and I'm going to turn receive on as well while I'm here, and then it's back working again. So on this module we have to do the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit menu, I'm going to go into the system, and then here I can kind of scroll up and down, and I want to find the one that says pad. In fact I've told you the wrong one. Let's go back. I want to go into setup, sorry, and I want to go to MIDI. So setup and then MIDI. And in here, I've got two buttons here. I've got the setup area, or I've got the control area. Well, I want to talk about control, so I can hit the control. And in here you can see that I've got PC, transmit and receive on. And again, if I turn that off, and I press up and down on here, then that won't be changing. So I need to make sure that's switched on. Now, as soon as that's switched on, that's the first part done. That's my main goal done, that I can change stuff on here, and this changes at the same time. Now, anyone who's kind of lucky enough to have one of the high-end modules, so like this one here, the TD12 or the TD20 or the TD30, will be happy, because the other thing you can do is you can get a second MIDI cable and you can plug it the other way around. So I can plug it into the out of the SX and take it across to my in on my module. Now what that means now is anything that I do on here can control what's happening on here. So the exact reverse of what's just happened is going to happen now. So if I press up and down here, you'll see that number going up and down. So I can control either of the modules from either end now. Now, the reason that I really like this is because this module has got the ability for me to set these different pads. I use these two here, but it could be any of them, to change the kits. So in other words, I set this pad to go up and this to go down, and every time I hit that, this is changing patches, but this is also changing kits. So to do that, this time I actually do go into menu and then system, and then I go to pad/FS control, and in here I've got a list of all my different pads, trigger 1, trigger 2, trigger 3, and if I scroll down, I don't know if you can, the camera's picking it up, but hopefully it is. When I go to pad 2, which is this one here, it says kit dec, which is decline I think, and pad 3, incline. And so what that means is when I hit these pads here, you'll see that the kit on here is going to change, and because of that MIDI cable, this one's going to change as well. So go up, Skiller kit on there, go down, JJ, up, and I've named them the same just for kind of ease of me knowing what's going on, but really useful. And that's the first way that I've found to use MIDI, and it is great to have all control in one spot. Now the second way that I use MIDI, and this is going to be a bit more complex, is that I'm triggering sounds on this module, so on the SX, from this kit. So I'm going to hit maybe the snare drum here, and what's happening, in fact, just by luck, that's a kit which I've already got set up. What's happening is the sound is good. There's no sound involved. Sorry, I shouldn't say sound. The velocity I'm hitting this with is going down that cable and going into here, and this is then, there's no sound coming out. So if I turn this off, look, there's no sound coming out. Now it's triggering because you can see it lighting up. But I purposely set all these drums to have no sound. What's happening is it's sending along the MIDI cable into here a MIDI note, and the MIDI notes which I've set, let's have a look what snare set to. So on this module I press instrument, and on the far side I've got control, and then I've got MIDI, and I press that and I can see that my note that this is set to is 72, and this is 67, and this is 66. So 72 on this module is actually the trigger in number 4, and that's why this is lighting up. So all I've done is I've assigned the snare sound that I wanted, that drum and bass sound, to this trigger. So let me find one that I stuck here so you can see. Okay, here's a good one. So Tom 1, 67. Well, that's this. So what it essentially means is I can play this kit, but you hear the sounds from the SX. It means that I can get really creative, because it means that all of a sudden I can get other drum kits I like, which maybe are not on here, or I can put in parts of songs onto here. Anything you can think of. I mean, this stuff here, this Skiller one, is beatbox, and this is one of the ones I played on the tour. So this is again literally triggering that. Now the great thing is now all of these specs I've got on here, so my filter and things like that, I've got control of while I'm hitting this kit. So anything. being triggered from my I've got the best camera angle, have I? All being triggered from my Roland kit over here. Sounds coming out of the SPD-SX here.